What if I told you this LF is in top 5, this LF is in top 5, and this LF is in top 5? You might look at me crazy, but what if I told you I'm telling the truth? Now you're definitely looking at me crazy. Well, if you're not looking at me crazy, you're crazy, because all of those statements, I was lying. But the point to be made here is that there's going to be a day in Dragon Ball Legends where all 3 of these LFs are not top 5. The bar in Dragon Ball Legends is due to be increased, and how they go about doing so, boy, I don't think we're ready for it. I would assume they have some major animations in store for the anniversary, but these 3 specifically, I think they're the template for how they will go ahead and top what we've already got in the game. Question for the guys in the chat: when it comes to a legendary finish, what's the most important thing to you out of these 3? The end pose, the camera work, or the effects in the animation? When I say effects, I'm talking about the explosions or any sparks that go flying. Let's get into this video now. So we're gonna start with fusing Super Vegito, as it's my personal favorite legendary finish, but the key thing I want you to look at in this animation is that the source material isn't from the anime. Typically, when we have a legendary finish, the reason it would be more amazing is based on its source material. So if we look at a lot of others in the game, specifically those from Dragon Ball Super, people like those more than the others because the source material is more recent, meaning that the animation is going to be better just as a result of it being modern. Naturally, if you copy things one to one, the more modern thing will look better than the older things simply because technology has improved. But in this case, they haven't taken the source material from the anime, they took it from Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, where they created custom animations for Super Vegito that we've never seen anywhere else. I think when they do this and they surprise us, because there's definitely a lot of people that have never seen the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot animations, they're like, what the hell? I've never seen this before. This is amazing. And because they've hit you with something quote unquote new, it looks just a lot better than anything that you've already seen because you can't compare it to anything else. In this case, I do realize, like I said, they took it from Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, but even then, it's not a complete one-to-one. You can easily see the template for the legendary finish is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Super Vegito, what he done to Buhan. I'll even show you on the screen, but the idea is to get creative. When they don't just take things straight from the anime, there's a lot more that they're opening themselves up to, and you can imagine with so many other characters, if they did this, we would get amazing animations. Most recently in Conversations, we have Super Gogeta, and you guys must have saw what Dokkan Battle did with the 10th anniversary Super Gogeta. They literally went above and beyond, making him do a ninja jump into a Soul Punisher Rasengan. That is ridiculous. And in my personal opinion, it should go without saying, and most of you guys will agree, Dragon Ball Legends in terms of its animations is just tenfold better than Dokkan Battle. I don't think it should be a debate. Everybody can have their own opinion, but I think the overwhelming majority will say Legends looks better. So imagine whatever Dokkan's pulling out, but in Dragon Ball Legends, boy, this would be ridiculous. But the creative aspect here in fusing Super Vegito, in my opinion, it's unmatched. In terms of an idea, it's genuinely the best in my opinion. The smoke just looks cartoonish, which makes it even more ridiculous. Of course, I'm going on here more so explaining my opinion, but it's the factors that make it super special in comparison to any other legendary finish that we have in Dragon Ball Legends. This legendary finish here correlates to the question that I asked you guys, specifically the guys in the comment section at the start of the video. In terms of camera work, windscreen, and the effects, I think Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he gets all 3. The devs completely understood the formula when making a legendary finish when it came to this guy, and they even went above and beyond when it comes to the sound effects, completely silencing the music to show how much of an impact his Kamehameha will have in this legendary finish. Again, this is one of the cases where, because it's more modern, the technology of the animation based on the anime, this is obviously a animation from Dragon Ball Daima, it's just going to be better. So when they copy it and put it in Dragon Ball Legends, it's also going to look better. That just goes without saying. Even if they did a poor job adapting it, it would still look better than over half the legendary finishes in Dragon Ball Legends to date. And that's simply because of the source material. But beyond the source material, they did a beautiful job. From every single shot that they put into this legendary finish, the zooms, they zoomed in close to his face, they showed the angles, the way they zoom into his eye during the legendary finish, the effects on the Kamehameha, it all is perfect for what we saw in Dragon Ball Daima, which is why this is a lot of people's favorite animation, whether they are a fan of Dragon Ball Daima or not. I also want to point out that this is one of the first showings of what they're capable of doing in 2025 and moving forward. I spoke a little bit earlier about the update coming in 2025 and how it's going to allow them to do way better things. I was joking about these animations not being being even top 5 in the game. They obviously are, but this clearly shows, even before they released the update for the game changing their game engine, that they are able to pull out some crazy stops. And now with the new game engine, hopefully it would be even better. Just look at the aura on Super Saiyan 4 Goku. One detail I love pointing out about his legendary finish is when he puts together his hands for the Kamehameha, the way his hands move so delicately. They put so much detail in something like that, where typically that wouldn't be the case. They make it a very big point to show you how his fingers are forming to make that Kamehameha, and then they show how big of an explosion it's going to create based on his aura. Putting all those other factors together in tandem, the silencing of the music, which is an aspect of the sound engineering, the sound effects added with the Kamehameha, so now that there's no music, there's more emphasis on the sound effects that are being put in place, and it makes all of us focus on the moment at hand, which is Goku's big Kamehameha. Easily a top 3 animation, and even though I said at the start that this animation wouldn't be top 5 at a certain point in time, I actually don't believe that to be the case. This animation is amazing. Now for the last mention of this video, a personal favorite to a lot of people, we've got Blue Bros. Now my key mention for this legendary finish is specifically because the camera work I think on this legendary finish is the best we've had in the game even to date, and that's also a factor of the source material. In the Broly movie, the way they did the camera work with the animation, it's not that the animation comes to the camera work, it's that the camera work follows the animation. As we see Goku and Vegeta as they were fighting Broly in this legendary finish, the camera is following their movements behind them as if we're the third Blue Bro, and that touch makes it feel amazing. It makes it feel like we are one with the characters. Goku and Vegeta working together is not something we get all the time. It's a very rare occasion. If they're working together, there's a serious threat on their hands. Working together, they don't even like it anyways because they like to run the ones, and fusing, it means it's even worse. But the way they were in sync here, when they don't even like to fight together in the first place, boy, it was crazy. I think also a nice touch with this legendary finish is that when Goku and Vegeta are flying about, to show their speed, there's these blue lines similar to Sonic, you could say, where as they're flying around at high speeds, their speed is depicted by leaving the blue lines behind, showing that they are moving quite fast, potentially even faster than light, you could say, as you only see the blurs behind them. Now obviously this is an in-game animation and it's just more of a visual effect. You could still see the characters as they fly around, but then we go back to the camera work when they get back to back as they hit the Kamehameha and the Gallic gun, and even leading into the big Kamehameha and Gallic gun together with the yellow and blue beam, which is also very similar to how they do a final Kamehameha. Side note, gotta put in this Vegito segment here. The reason final Kamehameha is my favorite big attack is because the yellow rings depict how powerful it is, and in this same animation with Blue Bros, you see the blue, which is based on Kamehameha, combined in this case the yellow, which is the Gallic gun, making that amazing looking blue and yellow beam into them putting their final poses for the windscreen. I think all of that are amazing details that must be picked up on. A lot of you guys might really appreciate this animation but not been able to put it into words, but these are all the factors that make this animation so amazing, and the general idea that we'll get animations better than this in the future, that's absurd. Now this last segment is just to touch on the potential that we could have in Dragon Ball Legends, and it's based on the first legendary finish that we got in 2025, but we do have other cases of this. Well, one other that I'd really like to mention anyways. So we're obviously talking about Trunks and Gohan. We see in this windscreen with them that they have the animation where Trunks is holding Gohan's dead body and he's telling him that he finally did it. He became a Super Saiyan.
Gohan, I did it. I became a Super Saiyan.
A simple cutscene like this, very short, very concise, but very powerful, is such an amazing addition for all the fans that have watched Dragon Ball over the years. It's one thing to enjoy the cinematics and actually appreciate the game you're playing because it looks good, but to actually feel like you're watching the anime over winning a battle is an amazing feeling. And that really shows the levels that they could put into this game. The other legendary finish that I want to mention is Gamma 1 and 2, which I feel is the first depiction of this. We have somewhat of a death scene. In this, it's a legendary finish, but we have the death scene of Gamma 2 and we see the light in the sky, making the animation look visually amazing. Another big factor for putting out this video is the concept from Weeba, Ricochet and VDMZ. They put together a Super Gogeta animation, and at the end of their fusion, you see that Vegeta and Goku have a conversation and then Vegeta disappears. The emotion that's put into that cutscene, I'll show you on the screen right now.
Vegeta, thanks.
For what? I should be thanking you, Kakarot.
Nah, what do you mean? I loved every minute.
Goodbye, my son.
The emotion that's put into that cutscene, if you watch the Fusion Reborn movie, you will feel it because it's designed intentionally to be that way. But then putting that into the game will make the game feel just that bit more special because they're able to replicate the feelings that the anime gave us. I hope they do more of that going forward because it's not all big attacks and flashy moves. Sometimes it's the emotional aspect that makes moments super great. An example I can see them doing this with is Goku in the Buu Saga when Vegeta told him that he's number one. Just thinking about it, I'm sure this has got a lot of you guys riled up and hyped, but let's just hope Dragon Ball Legends are able to execute, as I'm just the idea man right here. That's going to make the end of the video. I could talk about legendary finishes all day, and typically people just do a top 10 legendary finish or tier listing all the legendary finishes, but really breaking it down to the T for why people like these legendary finishes, I think it's something I should do more of. Let me know in the comment section what you guys do think about this idea. But for this video, I really wanted to talk about the potential of the animations they could bring out. I do have specific ones I want to talk about, but I'll leave that for a future time. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching the video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.